It's been called the most coveted real estate in journalism, and for 100 years now, the cover of Time magazine has become famous for featuring world leaders, athletes, movie stars, and everyone in between. Sometimes the subject is not human at all. But what goes into choosing that portrait, and how has that process evolved over a century of journalism?
The mission of a Time cover is to be clear and simple, impactful, and sometimes provocative.
D.W. Pine has the job of deciding what makes it onto the cover of Time magazine.
It's incredibly important to turn the canvas over to a variety of voices who can help us, crystallize this massively complex world that we all live in an 8 by 10.5-inch space.
The tradition started in 1923. Time's first edition was only 32 pages long.
The cover story, actually, which is on the Speaker of the House, Joseph Cannon, was only about 300 words inside, not even filling up a column. They reached out to an artist, William Overhart, who had done a charcoal painting of Joseph Cannon. They paid $50 for a one-time use right to be able to put it on the cover, and they rushed out with this first issue.
Over the years, the cover style has changed quite a bit.
If you even look closely at the early issues, all of the line work is hand-drawn, no mechanical work, obviously no computers.
And the famous red border made its debut in 1927. It was the idea of Time co-founder Britton Hayden.
He just took out a big red crayon and just drew a rectangle around the outside of an issue that didn't have the red border, and he goes, "Here, this is what you need." And since that day, it has remained the iconic part of how Time presents itself on a weekly basis.
Only a few times has the red border gone missing. The decision was made to turn the border black after September 11th. A 2008 issue was turned green for global warming. After Sandy Hook, the red frame was replaced by a gray one featuring President Barack Obama as Person of the Year.
There's been more than 5,200 covers of Time. What you discover as you really go deep down into researching a lot of how they were put together is that each one has their own story to tell.
And art itself has always remained central in deciding what makes a Time magazine cover, from Andy Warhol to Roy Lichtenstein and Marc Chagall. Some of the world's most contemporary artists have had their work featured inside the red frame.
We did a project 3 or 4 years ago on the drone age. So we decided to work with Intel, who was doing the drone shows, and we recreated the Time cover way up in the sky in California using 958 drones. In Japan, for a climate change cover, we reached out to a Japanese artist to recreate the Time cover experience pretty much on the sand in East Japan. We had an artist, Red Hong Yi, create an entire installation of the world map made out of matchsticks for another climate cover, and then she lit the whole thing on fire.
For 100 years, the Time magazine has used its cover to create and distribute news, and that doesn't appear to be changing anytime soon.
We have such a rich history of bringing some of the world's most prominent artists and photographers to our canvas that's an important element and collaboration that we will want to continue for the next 100 years.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.